Costello woke at 5 a.m. the next morning. He was still in his jeans, shirt and shoes off, tucked away nicely in bed. The taste and smell of alcohol was compelling, and he knew right away. Whenever his recollection of the encounter ended with the three guests, his skin suit continued on while all ability to retain any memory shut down. His gut was right and his guilt stifling. What he did recall was exactly what he dreaded, and he knew he would be faced with coming clean. His only hope was reviewing whatever recording he had from after he shut off and finding any discussion contradicting what he recalled. All of the news he dreaded flooded his morning so thick he didn't even notice his left hand had 3 distinct puncture marks. From the looks of it, he'd jabbed a fork into the palm of his hand for some reason. Best tend to the wound and clean up before watching whatever took place while he was on autopilot. As he walked to the medicine cabinet, he caught a glimpse of the refrigerator, which was wide open. Now he's triaging other variables this morning, conserving energy, salvaging food, sanitizing a wound, and readying himself for potentially more bad news. As he walked through the dining room, he observed his usual routine. He'd tidied up the area, sort of. His camera was still in the position he left it for filming. One thing was unusual. 3 drinks were left poured and unfinished. This was very uncommon. In previous videos, Costello viewed himself finishing every drink left at the table. Something about his childhood wouldn't allow him to let things go to waste. As he evolved into an adult, he was certainly not going to let good booze go to waste. Something about last night was different. His guess was either being stabbed with a fork or whatever distracted him from closing the refrigerator door. Costello shut the refrigerator door and found every toast and magnet removed. They were all lying on the kitchen floor. He spotted some newly written toasts mixed in with the others. He grabbed those and tossed them on the table. Figured he would read them before he watches the video. His head suddenly started pounding and his mouth became dry as day-old biscuits. Luckily, the refrigerator's right there for him to grab something to drink. He leaned in and found an orange Gatorade. It was still cold. He could only assume he hadn't been asleep long. He tossed the cap in the garbage and headed to the bathroom. He found a bottle of hydrogen peroxide and washed his hands vigorously. As he was washing his hands, he had a very quick flash memory of being in the woman's studio in Seattle. He remembered a bottle of peroxide on the kitchen counter with the bottles of wine and alcohol. His guests made no mention of this last night. What relevance did this have, and why is he suddenly having sober memories from drunken moments? Is he really even sober yet? Anyhow, he cleaned the wound to his palm and drenched it with peroxide. The Gatorade went down faster than he'd hoped, and there was a ferocious desire for more. He considered taking a walk for more, and then he realized he was subconsciously putting off the inevitable. He marched into the dining room and sat down to watch the video. Here's to not understanding a habeas corpus, knowing the exact date of your death, and eating glass to ward off bad spirits. There lay one of the newer toasts. It was written very aggressively, nearly tearing the aluminum foil and almost illegible. The next one settled Costello's nerves, somewhat. Here's to unwittingly taking the blame, lighting yourself on fire for charity, and falling in love during a plane crash. Costello was awakening to his martyrdom. The dryness in his mouth was lamentable. He's again vacillating between realizations and the distractions caused by his own actions. Costello sat in the center of this seesaw, unable to find the ability to go in either direction for answers or relief. The 3 tumblers of tequila sat on the table, still sending an aroma he both despised and desired. Costello grabbed the 3 glasses and poured them into the kitchen sink. He crudely rinsed one and filled it with lukewarm tap water. There sat a fork in the base of the sink. No blood, no explanation, just a fork. Looking around his place, he surveyed for any other answers. Nothing surfaced. Yet there was his camera, still sitting there with any possible explanation. He kept avoiding it at every turn. For a moment, He considered just deleting whatever was on last night's recording. He was in with both feet and started to feel like any more digging might allow him to keep this secret forever. Or at least until someone comes knocking at his door with the conclusion that he fears. The most random thing rushed through Costello's thoughts. For most of his life, he assumed everyone had those mornings where a random person's name or a lyric continued uttering inside their head. Just continued, over and over. He oddly never asked anyone, but on this day it dawned on him how bizarre this was. Why did this matter today, and why did he have this realization? Every morning he watched these horrifying videos of himself puttering around his apartment, pouring poison down his throat. All while his mind is slipping in and out of the ether. He never suffered from any of his repetitive brain torture. While Costello sat pondering the anecdotes of his life, all while trying to avoid the fucking video, he'd been picking black fingernail polish from his nails.